Welcome, everybody. We're going with the cold theme tonight here across the board on Thursday night. First, it was Dudley. Now it's with Marty. The Huddle with Marty Houston here on hogville.net. I want to thank everybody for jumping on tonight. I want to thank our sponsor, Koi Southern Meats. Make sure to go over Marty. They just had, matter of fact, Tracy and Clay were just on KARK a couple days ago, or KAIT. I can't remember which one it was, but they're pushing Koi's steakhouse that's going to be opening here in a couple of months in the Hotel Hot Springs. And I was talking to Dudley, and I thought, what, that might be a good idea for all of us to just go down there and get some great food, go down and see the horses.
Have a Hogville party,
Ooh,
Hey,
yeah.
listen, I've leaned on Lanny a little bit, our benefactor here at Hogville, and he's hooked me up with some Oaklawn stuff before. So,
well, he wants us to go down there, do a live. I've talked with Tracy; she's all for it as well. So I don't see why we couldn't get this all pulled together and head on down there and have a great weekend.
I'd almost bet if we talk to Lanny just right, and I shouldn't be saying this too loud, but he has some really nice box seats there that he has access to there at the finish line that he might help us out with. I don't know. Like I say, I don't want to say that.
We might have to get him. We might have to get a conference call going here because I'm just saying when it's strength in numbers, it always seems to help.
Oh yeah. Hey, before you, I wanted to say before we got started, congratulations, Kevin Kelly this week, who was on with us a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
It was so nice. And he just got hired as Sheridan. He's back in the coaching ranks. Sheridan's new head football coach and already a high school coaching legend in Arkansas. And he was so good and it was so great to hear him the other night. But congratulations and good luck to him with the new gig there at Sheridan.
And I think I bet you we might be able to get him back on and talk about his move to Sheridan because I'm sure that was something that might have been in the works that he just wasn't really comfortable. We really couldn't say anything about at the time when we had him on. But now that it's been announced, he's been formally introduced. I think it might be a good idea to bring him back on because I'm telling you, man, he could have big time me. I sent him a text message yesterday because I wanted kind of everything to kind of settle down once he was introduced. And I sent him a message just congratulating him. And he got back to me fairly quickly and said, "Hey, man, I appreciate it. And thank you." That sort of thing means a lot.
Yeah. Well, and again, he's got such good insight, a good guy to listen to. I mean, he could be a broadcaster if he wanted to. And
yeah,
we found the right gigs, but he's awfully good at coaching high school football. And like I say, just a legend there, and what a great run at Pulaski Academy, and now over there at Sheridan, and he'll do a great job there as well.
Yep. Well, to get us kind of started and kicked off tonight, everybody, I wanted to show you something. I pulled this out of the closet. I haven't worn this in a long time. It's the old Arkansas Adidas old school jersey. Of course, it's got to be number 5. You got to have Darren McFadden. End of story. And you and I were talking beforehand. I still have my Apex decades ago, and it's still there. And my parents still kept it. I couldn't believe it, but they still have that. And I've still got this one. I got a Felix Jones jersey, and it was just, it really, I felt like, with Bobby coming back, and now you're starting to see things kind of happen in the portal a little bit. And then the Razorback schedule was released last night. I just kind of felt like there was a little bit of a football theme to it.
Oh yeah. There you go. I'm with you there. So,
and you've got UAPB looking at that schedule. That's going to be kicking off the 2024 season again in Little Rock, and it's been quite a while that Little Rock has got back-to-back games to start the season off. And I'm telling you, I mean, UAPB, don't get me wrong, it's an in-state school. You're going to see Arkansas State next year at Little Rock as well. And so it's just, I like to see them down there once in a while, but I know that there's a lot of fans that kind of give a little bit of pushback on having them going down every year to Little Rock.
Well, again, you got this year and next year, and that's all it signed. I don't know. That was what was interesting to me in watching the schedule released. I knew the games. We didn't know the
Mhm.
exact dates that they were going to place these games.
Yeah.
After the first four, and looking at the 24 schedule, you didn't know that, but you knew the games that they were going to play. And
Yeah.
we're winding up with Missouri, like always. It's going to be on Saturday though, for right now, unless something comes up later on where they negotiate it
Yep.
for the Black Friday. But that was a CBS thing. CBS liked having that game, and this is all
Mhm.
ESPN now. And I didn't see. I was looking at all of the SEC teams. I don't know if anybody's scheduled on Friday now, so that could still be something that's coming up that gets announced later
Yeah.
on. But the one thing that I saw that was just a small snippet, and because you didn't really know for sure, but the University of Arkansas has admitted that this year is going to be the final game at AT&T Stadium. They said that that A&M and Arkansas would start
Mhm.
playing home and home schedules. They said that. So we know that doesn't mean Arkansas will not have a game at AT&T Stadium, but the Arkansas Texas A&M game will not be there after next year. So this next year in 2024 is going to be the last one for Arkansas and A&M series at AT&T Stadium, with Arkansas announcing that the two schools would be playing home and home schedules after that.
Yeah.
So Arkansas State in 2025 is the last scheduled game under the contract. I don't know that you'll see that. May be where you don't see it renewed. You've got a little over a year and a half, 2 years to.
Mhm.
I really think probably a year and a half before you have to announce whether or not you're going to have a game there in Little Rock for 2026. But I,
Yeah.
or the Arkansas State game, and whether or not that becomes a series, but that's the only game with Arkansas State. So, it is what it is.
Mhm.
Again, I don't mind the Little Rock games. I don't know what the complaining is about, on some of this. In some regards, I'm going to go to see the game. If I want to go see the game, I'm going to go see them, whether it's in Little Rock or AT&T or Donald W. Reynolds Razorback Stadium. There are some
Yep.
things that are drawbacks at uh, at, at at Little Rock, but I can tell you, traffic wise, there's some things that drawbacks there in Fayetteville too. So, you
Mhm.
know, but again, you already knew. It doesn't matter if you complain about it or not. You already knew you had UAPB in Little Rock this year for
Yep.
2024, and that you've got Arkansas State there next year, and you don't have anything scheduled beyond that.
Yep. And I'm more of a wait and see kind of guy on the powers that be whenever they get this all kind of hammered out. And I want to see where they kind of go with this because, like you said, that there's been a intentional pull from Little Rock. Then there was an intentional push back to Little Rock. So just kind of see where it goes. But I mean, like you said, I don't see there. I don't know if there's really going to be anything that's going to be past 25 that I've heard of. You know more people than I do that are on the know on in the know on that. So we'll have to just kind of wait and see where
I,
that
I just
goes.
I just have a gut feeling that the 2025 game with Arkansas State will be it. That's just my gut. That's not because I know anybody or that somebody told me something. I just see what's
Mhm.
happening with scheduling, and it's getting harder to justify those neutral site games. Although they had some interesting ones that I saw announced in the SEC schedule that will be taking place next year that are outside of Arkansas. So I think that you'll have some from time to time, and Jerry Jones may try to put some
Yeah.
stuff together. But I just kind of have a feeling that's that's going to be it. I don't know. Again, you don't know if Arkansas is going to play
Mhm.
Arkansas State again after that. So I don't know. But I just my gut tells me that
Yep.
2025 is it. We already know that's on the schedule. It doesn't matter if you complain that the game is in Little Rock and you don't like Little Rock games, or you love Little Rock games and they ought to keep, you just know that those 2 games are the only thing that we know that they're going to have.
Yep. And I do like the fact that you've got a bye week between Tennessee, LSU in schedule. You also have a bye week between Ole Miss and Texas. That
2 bye weeks. Yeah.
that really is that sets well with me. Yeah. And that I think that that's really going to benefit this team, unlike whenever you saw where you were having to wait until, 7, 8 weeks into the season before you finally get a bye. And now you've got it kind of backed up a little bit. I mean, you got the first part of October, then the first part of November. And I think that's really going to help Sam and the staff be able to, if there's some guys that are nicked up, which will happen, that's going to help them kind of catch some traction again and get some guys on the field that might not have been able to make it the next week.
Well, keep in mind that you're starting the first of all the season on August the 31st.
Yep.
We might not think much about it now. August 31st, kids, here, it's going to be blazing hot. I remember this year's game being in September, early September, and it was blazing hot there at Little Rock. It's going to be blazing hot there. I mean, again, I suffered a little bit of heat exhaustion in that game and didn't realize it. And I don't want to ever have that feeling again. But August 31st is going to be blazing. So I think you're going a tad earlier, and it may be some padding there because I have a feeling that I just have a feeling that going forward into next year in the 25 season, that padding of the 2 games might be setting up for that 9th conference game. I'm just wondering. I kind of think things like that. I just hope. What we don't know is the times that have been set. And what I do hope is that UAPB game on August 31st is a night game. I hope they do that. I hope they do not make that a day game. So,
oh God, I hope so.
I was sitting here thinking of that. Do what?
Oh, go ahead. You're good. No, go ahead.
No, I was thinking of that this year, why they didn't do that a night game when they played Western Carolina. I'm like, why didn't they do this at night? Why at 3 p.m? It wasn't. It's the way that War Memorial is, and it's so open, and there is not. And if you're there that time of the day, there's not a lot of shade. The stadium's not built with shaded areas. And so, like I say, you're everybody's closer to the field, closer team, and people complained about being too hot and all that. So I just hope. I have a feeling it'll be an ESPN Plus game, maybe an SEC Network game, maybe. But I was looking at the other games. I just have a feeling it will. I'm like, in that regard, let's do a 7 o'clock kickoff of that. I don't think it's that big a deal. So,
yeah. And if you think about it too, that first game was moved originally from noon to 3 because they said there was a threat of weather, and they wanted it to be early enough to where everybody also, they didn't officially say it, but it was more of a thought of everybody can get back going into the holiday weekend a little bit early, so they're not pulling in at 3 o'clock in the morning. They're pulling in at like 10 o'clock at night, and I think that's was something.
There were so many though. I mean, Sam Pittman talked about the players getting back and not being out late and all that. Arkansas, we had a tradition of playing so many night games there. I mean, legendary night games at War Memorial Stadium. Yeah. And so, they've done it before. I mean, it's not like, and again, you had so much of the crowd leaving at halftime because of the heat, so being on August the 31st, I mean, I think what was the date for that first game? September 6th this year? And I think I got to look back at the schedule on what the exact date was. Look at the 23
September
schedule.
2nd.
Tell me what the date was for that game. Huh?
September 2nd.
September 2nd. Yeah, we're kind of close. So anyway, I just hope it's a nighttime kickoff. That's what I would that would be on my Christmas wish list. Hopefully Santa can bring that to us late.
So if you're listening, that is exactly what Marty's asking for. Late game in Little Rock.
I'd take it.
He doesn't
Yes.
want anything else. He'll even take a little bit of cool
Well,
if he
I wouldn't
has
say
to.
anything else. I wouldn't say that, but I'm just what. But I would put that on there. If you got that in the stocking, I'd take that. Yeah.
Yeah. Man, oh man. So um one was let's bring a couple of things here that some folks. There's a Facebook user. I didn't get your name. Sorry. If you put your name in the comments, then it'll pop up. It says hello guys. What are your thoughts on Jacoby Criswell now with Petrino? Will he stay?
I'm 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 kind of interested in what's going on with KJ Jefferson still. Here we've got
Yeah.
this kid from Boise State that they just jumped in, and I'm like, okay. My
Taylor
thought
Green.
was, I was
Yep.
talking to Mike Irwin about it this week a little bit, and I said, KJ has got to know something one way or the other. This guy is committed to transfer portal
Mm-hmm.
from Boise State. And I said, we still don't know about KJ Jefferson. I like Jacoby Criswell.
Yeah.
Of what I've seen of him.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't judge everything on that Missouri game that he was thrown into totally. It was a very good Missouri team, and he was thrown into that game. But at the other times that he came in, I think that he is looked good. And you heard what Kevin Kelly
Mm-hmm.
was saying about him. That he's the real deal. Watching him in his days there at World. And so, but again, here we've got a transfer portal guy coming in with Green, and we still don't know about KJ Jefferson. So to me, there's still some question marks. But I like Jacoby Criswell. If that answers the question, I was comfortable with him being the guy if KJ left and he's the starter, going forward.
Yeah. And that's what's going to be nice to see an actual quarterback battle with Taylor Green and with Jacoby Criswell. You have to think that KJ is not going to be here next year, albeit transfer portal, even the draft. I know that folks are sitting there talking about how bad of a year he had, but at the same time, NFL scouts, when they look at that team last year, they knew that he did not have any time to get rid of the ball. They knew that he had little time to make decisions that were going to affect plays down the field on a week in and week out basis. So I don't know. You might see that. You might see him hit the portal. I just don't know. I really feel like, again, he's not going to be here next year.
I'm looking at South Carolina and looking at Rocket Sanders going there, and
Yep.
Trey Knox went there. And I'm just wondering, with Dow Loggins, who I like, is just a great guy. Yeah, and I always thought Dow Loggins would be the guy. If something happened at offensive coordinator, he would be the guy. But the timing wasn't right. He ended up going to South Carolina. I know that his wife would like for him to be back in Fayetteville at some point, but he got Trey Knox to jump there, and now he's got Rocket Sanders. And I kind of wonder, is that if he goes into the transfer portal, is that maybe a place for for KJ Jefferson? I'm not sure, but I mean there seems to be some things resonating with those guys with Dow Loggins over there.
Yeah. Yep. I want watchers. Daniel Bush said that says great to have us back, which I appreciate that and thank you very much. Says that we have an Arkansas farmer who's making waves in the UFC. His name is Bryce Mitchell from Searcy. He is fighting this Saturday night in Vegas at UFC 296. That's kind of fun to watch.
He's from Central Arkansas, and I've seen some news stories on this guy, and he seems like this guy from Arkansas. And it just seems like a great guy. I mean, a good character person. That's what it appears, and so yeah, good luck to it.
And Daniel said he has a degree in economics from Harding, and still does a lot of his training in Little Rock, so he's still pretty local. And
Yeah,
that's a nice story to have that Arkansans can kind of cling on to whenever basketball games are few and far between right now because of finals. You got a Razorback basketball game this Saturday and this Sunday, but a little bit of UFC here and there. I mean, to kind of wet your whistle because bowl games really don't start firing up for another week or so.
yeah, that's right. And let me say this, since you mentioned Harding there, Harding playing for the national championship in Division II this weekend, undefeated.
Yes.
I mean, how many people in Arkansas have talked about that? But they're playing the Colorado School of the Mind, who is also undefeated. They were in
Yeah.
the national championship game last year. Harding has made this wonderful run through the Division II playoffs, and they are playing for the national championships for first time in school's history. And so, yeah, I mean that's a terrific story there, and good luck to them
Yep.
as well.
I was gonna say because you also had Harding Academy that won. Was it the 4A state championship or the 3A? That was this last weekend,
4A, I
and
think 4A, yeah,
yeah, 4A, and they took care of business. Just said that,
yeah, yeah.
but
Yeah,
they really took care of
Searching with a
business. But
lot of stuff
that was
going on over there that's kind of gone under the radar.
this will be heading the playing for the PN2 to watch Bryce hit the. So one last thing, Marty, I want to bring up, and I know this is kind of off the beaten path a little bit. There's NBA news that came out yesterday and some more today is that Draymond Green has been suspended indefinitely from the NBA. Uh, this guy has had a laundry list of suspensions because of technicals and getting crazy on the court. You also had stuff with him and teammates off the court a season or two ago, and then you had the incident with Rudy Gobert, and then you followed that back up with Nurkic and with the Suns, and Adam Silver just said we can't do this anymore. There's something that needs to change, not with his play, but with him as a person. Now, would he have fit in with the bad boys of the Detroit Pistons back in the '80s? I bet you he fit right in. But I think that they have to really kind of go back and kind of maybe scale them back a little bit because President Mike Dunleavy Jr. said, hey, this is something that needs to be taken care of off the court now.
Yeah, and you wonder if the teammates get in his ear, but you also wonder how long the Warriors, Golden State, will continue. As good as somebody
Yeah.
is, sometimes the baggage is too much. So, um, it's probably something that should have happened for a while, and he's been given a little bit of a leash, but I think it's probably tightening up now.
Yeah, and there's just not much else as far as room goes because you know, I was listening to sports radio because I had to make a couple of trips down to Little Rock here the last couple days, and they made the comment that Kermit Washington had one hit on Rudy Tomjanovich, and that pretty much destroyed his career.
It did.
And
It really
you don't
did.
know if that's the next step that could happen with Draymond on the court because honestly, it looked like it was just a punch, but I'm going to tell you what, it was a pretty powerful punch with Rudy T. But you don't
It
want that
broke
to
his
happen.
jaw, and he was not really ever
His
the same.
face.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. He
yeah.
it destroyed Kermit's not career, but I think it also really affected him personally because he talked about that a
It
lot
did.
too.
It did. It was kind of a sucker punch, as I recall, and so.
Hmm.
But the NBA does not want that kind of image. I think the NFL
Yep.
had to draw that line, even with star players.
Yep.
that they don't want that kind of image. You had the deal last year in Memphis with their best
Mhm.
player, and he's doing a TikTok video, I guess, or something, and he's got a gun that he's kind of
Yeah.
flashing.
John
Yeah,
Morant.
and I just think that
Yep.
they are wanting to really clean up that image with their players, and want better people. They want to increase the fan base, and
Yep.
they know that having they want a better image with that. So that's the
Yep.
bottom line. I
Uh,
think the NBA is going to push for this more.
yeah, you've seen you watched the from afar too the changes that the NBA has made. Like Michael Jordan, whenever he had mentioned what it was like in the locker room on the Last Dance, we go into halftime, and he would say they go into halftime. There's guys in there smoking cigarettes, drinking beers, talking about what they're doing after the game and stuff like that. To how different it is these days on and off the court. And the NBA, like you said, they've made a made a concerted effort to really clean that up because they do have a global footprint. Let's just how it is. They have a global footprint that they want to
Yeah,
keep continuing to grow. And the NFL, like you said, is starting to make that global footprint with Mexico City, with England, also with Germany. I really think that at some point you're going to see some games in Japan.
yeah,
You really are. I really feel like you are.
yeah. Again, it is global. NFL is pushing that.
So yeah, that's
Uh, they didn't have any games in Mexico this
mhm,
year, but they had games in Germany. They had games in London. Once again, and they're picking up fan bases. They're picking up fan bases in
mhm.
these other countries, and the NBA it's going to be a little bit easier to do that. So yeah. And again, they want to develop a better image, and it's interesting that you brought up Michael Jordan in the Last Dance. If you remember watching that, you remember what Dennis Rodman was like and remember
Yeah,
scenes of him talking about Michael Jordan coming to a hotel to get him out of there. So you just wonder if Draymond Green's
yep.
teammates are going to start, hey, look, man, we want to win. We want you to be there with us, and you can't be doing this.
That whole story was wild because I mean, with him walking with Rodman walking into Phil's office and says, "I got to have a break." I
Yeah,
have never heard of a professional athlete say, "Hey, you know what, man? I need a break for a little bit," and that coach be completely fine with it, and then just take a 72, I think it was a 96-hour hiatus, and Jordan had to fly to Vegas to go pull him out of a God knows what was in that hotel room.
Michael
I'm sure
Michael
that
Jordan himself showing up to get him out of there.
yes. I mean, that's the equivalent of a Kevin Durant or a LeBron James leaving their post and going
Yeah,
and finding, a Draymond Green or whoever it happens to be. Whenever the leader of that team and that organization comes in there to yank you out or to really finally try to put draw the line. I feel like maybe Steph Curry might have that pull.
yeah.
That's about it on that
No,
team.
I mean, Michael Jordan, we all know how unique he was. That's why we love him. And
Yeah.
especially those of
Mhm.
us that watched him and lived through that understood the competitive nature of that guy, how much he wanted to win. It was beyond the money. When you saw him playing sick in an NBA championship series, and you hear the stories all these years later, how he wanted to win so badly. He didn't like, but yeah, that's Dennis Rodman. He's got to take care of his own self. No, he was going to go get him and bring him in there. He was going to make sure he was
Yeah.
back because he wanted to win. I don't know
Yeah.
that Steph Curry has got that kind of resolve or that kind of competitive nature, but it would be great. I mean, it's great for the image of the NBA if Draymond Green had that kind of a teammate.
Yeah. I think that might be, you know, that's something that the Golden State Warriors have got to look at too.
Absolutely, I think so.
They if they can't do that with him to get him to a place where Marty, I'm gonna get you out of here, man. And it's been great chatting with you. And we'll have to get on this pretty soon again. We'll talk a little bit later. And everybody, I want to thank you all for jumping on tonight with the Huddle with Marty Houston here on Hugville.net. I'm Jason, and I want to thank you guys for joining us tonight.